Police are investigating the reports that triggered an active shooter alert at the University of Arkansas campus in Fayetteville. Police are now saying those reports on Monday appear to have been a hoax. And that's where we start today on your 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. I'm Morgan Wrigley. We're taking a closer look at how the emergency response unfolded on campus. As 5 News reporter Claire Everbach reports, even though it was a hoax, students say it still created fear among the campus community.
Freshman Joshua Gardner says he was inside a campus dining hall when the initial alert came through.
I was standing in the 1021 food hall, having no idea what was going on and having this misinformation flying. It sparks a lot of fear within the students.
For the out-of-state student, that fear turned into panic.
In that moment, you feel kind of helpless and there's not much you can really do. I'm an out-of-state student, so I called my grandmother and I was just, I'm sorry, I love you, and I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know if I'm safe.
As an education major, Gardner says the experience forced him to think about his future.
It kind of got me thinking that, I'm in danger of these kinds of situations in our country for the rest of my life.
Gardner says social media posts made him believe an active shooter was in the building.
We were making phone calls, telling our loved ones. When all of a sudden chaos kind of broke out in the 1021 dining hall, everyone started running and screaming, and I just grabbed my friends and we ran and hid under a table.
And he says the fear was real, no matter the outcome of the threat.
Everything that we felt was real, regardless if it was a false threat or not. Sitting in the 1021 under the table and feeling helpless, like that was going to be my last breath. It's kind of hard to move on from that and just write it off as nothing.
Senior John Dykes says he wants to see more conversation about gun policies on campus.
However quick the officers respond, there is some amount of time between when the danger starts and when the officers can get there. Any trained marksman can hurt a lot of people in just 2 minutes.
And he says limiting who can carry won't solve the issue.
Prohibiting good people from carrying guns only stops the good people from carrying guns. The bad people don't care about the law, so I don't know. I don't see any benefit to that.
University Police Assistant Chief Matt Mills says their active shooter strategy has 3 steps: avoid, deny, defend.
Get out if you can get out. Take as many people with you as you can and just continue to go. If you cannot get out, deny access. Close the door, lock the door if it's possible, barricade it, turn off the lights, and get into a place that you can't be seen from any side windows or glass, and then prepare to defend yourself if a bad guy was to come into the room.
The main priority, make it impossible for someone to enter the room.
Stack chairs, desks, tables, filing cabinets, whatever is available in the room in front of those doors, and then get away from that door opening with the lights off, the phones silenced.
Mills is hopeful to increase gun safety training on campus. He also encourages students and faculty to watch their YouTube training video.
It's something that we can very easily communicate out in training and in meetings, be it residential hall meetings, Greek life meetings, anything of that nature. You take 5 to 10 minutes to watch that video and discuss that as a group will be beneficial.
Well, events like we've seen at the U of A this week and tragedy across the nation can weigh heavily on the minds of faculty, students, and their families. 5 News anchor Darren Bobb spoke with a mental health professional about how to cope.
The reactions of, I'm not going back to class, or I'm not going into that building, I'm not walking across campus alone. Those are all absolutely normal reactions.
Sage Small is a local mental health counselor at the Guidance Center in Fort Smith. She says the last thing you need to do is keep the anxiety and fear bottled up.
We always want to address it on the acute side as well, of talk to somebody, be open about it. And if we're seeing those same heightened responses and fears still in 90 days from the event, then we may start talking about okay, it's time to truly address this with somebody.
As for parents, she says it's very simple to play a huge role in making sure your child is safe.
Talk to your administrators and your teachers. What are the policies and procedures in place? What are measures that you guys do in drills? How can I prepare my child at home? What are some things that I can talk about? Because even if it's not an active on-site shooting incident, we still experience stress from having to think about being prepared for those events.
Bottom line, Small says don't be afraid to talk. That goes for both students and parents. She says the longer you put off talking about your concerns, the worse anxiety gets.
When we connect with other people and we share those experiences, we find we're not alone. And that is so important to to also our mental health safety.
The hoax shooting report at the U of A in Fayetteville was one of at least 11 similar incidents at colleges across the country, from Iowa to Pennsylvania. The latest reports happened Tuesday at the University of Kentucky and a technical college in Georgia, among others. Authorities in Kentucky say they determined the report was a hoax before an alert could be issued to students and staff. The FBI says it's working with local law enforcement, investigating all of these reports. Meanwhile, down in Beebe, Arkansas, there are new developments in a shooting that happened Monday night on the high school campus. A police report confirms kids were involved in what officers call a shots fired incident at Beebe High School. When they got there, officers found a car with one bullet hole, and they say a juvenile with minor injuries that look to be from shrapnel hitting the car. Kristen Tharp is a mother of two who lives in the street right across from the school, and she says she was home when this happened but had no idea until Tuesday morning.
I got this message, it was this morning at 6:48 a.m. and just from the school. It's a safety update, and then you click on the link and then it tells you, there was an incident that occurred at Beebe Public Schools campus during the overnight hours.
Police say this was not in any way related to school activity and that 2 people have been charged in connection with the shooting. Well, newly obtained body cam video shows the interview with Kermit Acosta, the man who shot and killed Brad Jones of Charleston. Last week, Special Prosecutor David Etheridge ruled that the shooting that killed Jones was legally justified. He said Kermit Acosta believed he was facing an imminent threat of serious injury or death. Tuesday night, we heard directly from Acosta in his interview with investigators, looking for what exactly led up to that shooting.
This all started when Brad Jones went to a house where Kermit Acosta was working, looking to collect $2,000 for cabinet work.
I just kept telling him, I said, when you fix my cabinets, I said, I've got your money.
This is video from the scene of the shooting. In an interview with police, Acosta says Jones got in his face, blocked his truck, and repeatedly threatened him.
We were just arguing back and forth, yelling and screaming, and I told him it wasn't going to happen. When I heard we're going to whip your ass, I wasn't taking the chance.
He told investigators he was also focused on Jones's friend, Jamie Fisher, who stood close by during the confrontation.
To me, there's something about that guy, that Brad had with him. I've never seen a guy, he's standing there with his hands in his pocket the whole time. Come on, man. I wouldn't take a chance.
Acosta told police he grabbed a loaded handgun from his truck, hoping it would scare Jones, saying he kept it pointed at the ground for nearly a minute before the shooting. He said he was also worried because Jones was larger than him. Fisher told investigators Jones never threatened Acosta.
He's like, why do you need a gun? He's like, I come here just to talk to you.
Jones handed Fisher his glasses, and that's when Acosta suddenly fired.
I had no intentions of shooting this guy, man. I was hoping to just scare him.
Okay.
I was hoping he'd just call me a crazy it'd be like we did before.
In the interview with investigators, Acosta asked how Jones was.
He didn't make it.
It wasn't supposed to happen.
Lavaca police first handled the investigation, but the chief later stepped aside, saying the victim was a friend. Sebastian County Sheriff's Office then took over, and Sebastian County Prosecuting Attorney Daniel Hsu recused himself from the case, as Acosta's father is a former sheriff's deputy and his brother is a former Lavaca police officer. The Jones family now filing a wrongful death lawsuit, saying Brad's life was taken without cause and the family deserves justice. The Atwell law firm representing them argues Jones was unarmed and that witness statements showed the killing was unnecessary and unjustifiable.
Right beside Brad, opens the door, puts the tools up in the front seat, pulls a gun out and turns to face Brad.
And we're taking a closer look at Arkansas's Stand Your Ground law. As we just mentioned, the special prosecutor cited that law in his decision not to file charges against the man who shot and killed Jones. Attorneys for Brad Jones' family are looking through the case file, laying the groundwork for a possible wrongful death lawsuit, as we mentioned. This after the prosecutor says the shooter was justified. 5 News reporter Bo Russell looks at how a Stand Your Ground defense works.
Arkansas is very clear that a person who feels threatened does not have an obligation to retreat if they're in a place that they're lawfully allowed to be.
Special Prosecutor David Etheridge was assigned to the case after Sebastian County Prosecutor Daniel Shu recused himself because of a conflict of interest. We spoke with him last week.
Again, I appreciate the work done by the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office. They did a good job on this.
But attorney Kevin Metcalf, hired by the Jones family, says he sees issues with how this investigation was conducted.
I do have serious concerns about the validity of some of the information that they got. Me personally, there are concerns over how Kermit got in that position that he was anyway.
Metcalf is talking about how the shooter, Kermit Acosta, walked past Jones, grabbed his gun from his truck, and then shot him after a brief conversation. Video taken from an officer's vehicle that was driving by shows the scene of the shooting just minutes before it happened.
He didn't hesitate. He wasn't worried about him being there. He walked right around him, opened the door right beside Brad, put his tools in there, grabbed his gun, turned around, and that's where the encounter took place.
After speaking with Special Prosecutor Etheridge and attorney Kevin Metcalf, I reached out to Washington County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Dennis Dean, who is not at all connected to this case, to ask questions about how a stand your ground defense works.
Deadly force is authorized if the person is committing or about to commit an act of violence, if there is an imminent endangerment of someone's life.
Witnesses to the shooting say that Jones threatened to beat Acosta up. I asked Dean if the threat of being beat up is enough to shoot someone under stand your ground law.
No, yeah, this is a debilitating injury that we're talking about. So either death or a serious physical injury, something that's going to permanently maim you or impair you or scar you. So it's not just punching somebody in the nose.
Dean says stand your ground cases are rare and very specific about when the defense can be used.
If you're standing in your front yard and somebody says, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to kill you, and their hands are at their side and they're not showing any weapon or anything, you can't just pull out a gun and shoot them.
To reiterate again, Dennis Dean is not connected to this case. He simply took the time to speak with us about stand your ground laws. Attorneys at Atwell Law Firm say they're still waiting for more requested documents to be sent to them, but they're close to making a decision about filing a wrongful death lawsuit. The Washington County Circuit Court is filing a gag order in the double murder case of Andrew McGann. We were sent that document Thursday afternoon, which is titled as an order limiting pretrial public statements. It's from Washington County Prosecutor Brandon Carter. After McGann's arraignment on August 14th, Carter gave us a heads up the gag order was likely on its way soon.
I anticipate that at some point in the coming days or weeks that there will be some form of a gag order issued in this case because of the notoriety that it's received.
That order came down at around 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon, when this document was sent to over a dozen news outlets from across the country. The document says that because of, quote, extensive media coverage, attorneys of record, witnesses, and anyone involved with multiple law enforcement agencies are barred from making public comment on this case.
This office has released all of the facts of the investigation that it's ever going to release in this case. I'll be releasing no more statements about the investigation itself.
The document claims that this gag order is necessary in order to ensure McGann's right to a fair trial. McGann's next court appearance will be a continuation hearing where an update will be given on the status of the investigation.
The state is going to pursue the death penalty in this case. I've never been involved in a death penalty case that didn't last multiple years.
We have new information from 5 News obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request with Washington County Jail. Documents sent to us show that McGann has been held in an isolation unit. They also show he's made dozens of virtual calls to his family members who live in Tulsa. That's where McGann went to college. His next court appearance will be on November 14th, this time at the Washington County Circuit Court. The city of Prairie Grove released more information this week about the benefit happening for the family of Clinton and Kristen Brink. They are the couple whom McGann is accused of murdering last month while hiking in Devil's Den State Park. Prairie Grove's mayor says the event will happen Saturday, September 6th at the Prairie Grove High School. It will feature live music, food, and a benefit auction from 4 to 7. All the proceeds will benefit the 3 children the Brinks leave behind. We're following up on a former Bentonville detective receiving citations after a report says members of a local country club saw him shooting geese on the golf course. The report names Detective Dustin Epperly as the man who shot around 7 geese at the Shadow Valley Country Club. Epperly admits to the golf course shooting. It took place on July 10th and says he didn't know there were people fishing in the pond near where this happened. He's since been fired. 5 News spoke to Trey Reed with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission about laws surrounding hunting wildlife.
And obviously there are, beyond game and fish regulations, there are regulations about discharging firearms in city limits. And, that's not a game and fish regulation. That's up to each municipality. And we do have laws on the books regarding how close to a residence you can be when you hunt.
Reed says that hunting season for geese actually opens on September 1st. A tragic incident unfolds in Barling, Arkansas as a vehicle plunges into the Arkansas River. The driver, Donald McGrew, is still missing. This happened on Monday. Several law enforcement agencies were sent to Spring Hill Park after reports of a man driving his car into the river. They found the car, but there's been no sign of McGrew since. His sister Rebecca Myers says it's been a horrible experience. 5 News reporter Laura Castleman visited with the family of McGrew, who says they are not giving up on trying to find him.
I want others to remember him, that he was funny.
Rebecca Myers says an eyewitness watched her brother's car go into the Arkansas River.
I was notified on Monday evening about 3 o'clock that my brother had driven into the Arkansas River, the Spring Hill ramp in Barling. Explained that my brother had went down the ramp full speed into the water and he never resurfaced. He was able to get to the top of the surface and start swimming. He swam for a little bit, fought it, and went under. Law enforcement and all the agencies, all the surrounding agencies, they have went above and beyond what we expected them to do. They were out here Monday and all day yesterday. They have exhausted all their resources.
Myers says unless they have a sighting or more information, the search will not continue. Barling police say the investigation is still open.
As a sister, it's hard for me just to go home and wait. I want to do something. We have walked the riverbanks, we've driven, we've walked, we've hiked.
Myers says she's now asking anyone with resources to help search.
If I knew of anybody, I would be out there in a boat right now searching for him. I know he's out there, and I want to be there when he's found, and I need help finding him.
Myers says she wants her brother to be remembered the way they remember him.
Funny, hilarious. He thought he was a comedian. He even did open mic in Las Vegas, was a little comedian, and we loved him dearly. I need help finding him. Our family wants closure for him.
McGrew's niece, Rachel Cooper, also says her uncle has a family that loves him and they want him remembered for the way he made people laugh. Investigators are treating this case as a possible suicide. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a hotline for individuals in crisis or for those looking to help someone else. To speak with a trained listener, you can call 988. A desperate situation in Sequoyah County forced an assistant police chief to act quickly and pull a man from a burning car on I-40. Stigler Assistant Police Chief John Vale only had seconds to save a life. He was in his patrol car on I-40 between Salisaw and Muldrow, transporting evidence, when a driver sped past him, weaving in and out between 2 semis. The car crashed into the nearby woods. Vale immediately pulled over and jumped into action. Another person also showed up to help.
Had to take the car had to take the shoulder, and once it hit the shoulder, it started losing control. You could see dust coming up. I'm so thankful for somebody else to be there, strong young man, and that was able to grab the other arm, and the both of us jerking were able to work him free and get him out and pull him to safety.
The assistant chief says he hasn't been able to find the man he saved, but a trooper says he was flown to a hospital and was expected to survive. A former Arkansas Boy Scout troop leader at the center of one of the state's biggest abuse scandals has died behind bars. Charles Jack Walls died of natural causes last Friday at the East Arkansas Regional Unit. Walls pleaded guilty in the late 90s to raping multiple boys under his care, crimes that landed him 4 life terms plus 80 years. At sentencing, victims testified he exposed them to alcohol, weapons, pornography, and eventually abuse. One victim, Heath Stocks, later killed his family and is serving life in prison. Well, Fort Smith police say a recent string of shootings has them concerned despite violent crime trending down in recent years. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer tells us about the department's new plan to get ahead of the problem.
Last Monday, Fort Smith police responded to 2 reports of gunfire at 2 separate locations in the city. And now they say in response to what's been a recent influx of shootings in the city, they're creating a new violent crimes task force.
This is video from Monday near Savannah Street. Shots were reported from a vehicle. Incidents like these are part of what Fort Smith police say is a troubling spike in gun violence.
The summer months, you sometimes see a spike in certain types of activity, and this was something that we really wanted to address.
Fort Smith police say overall, violent crime has been trending down the past 3 years. So far this year, police have responded to 273 gun-related calls. That's down 18% from 2024. But they say a small group of offenders is to blame for recent property damage and drive-bys, including one that left a person dead.
When those spikes occur, you want to get your resources together and reassess and figure out where you need the most attention.
In establishing the Violent Crimes Task Force, the department will combine specialized officers and resources to go after violent offenders, strengthen community partnerships, and keep the public updated as progress is made.
We'll definitely arresting the perpetrators of the latest and prevention of any further crime. We every 2 weeks we come back and we look at our comp stat data
and keep violent crime on the decline.
It's proactive measures like this that help us stop something from escalating.
Police are asking anyone with any information about the recent shootings or any suspicious activity across the city to contact them directly, or you can contact Fort Smith Crime Stoppers and receive an up to $1,000 reward. In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Thanks, Lauren. And new information on the identity and fraud protection measures the Fort Smith Public Schools is taking after the cyber incident last month. The district's director of purchasing provides an update from Monday night's Board of Education meeting on the purchase of a protection app called Aura. As of Monday, the district had not yet signed that agreement, but they expect the plan to be implemented by October 1st or sooner. The initial coverage will last for 1 year for both current and recently retired or resigned staff. It'll cost an employee $3 a month, but ARA will only charge the district for the employees who choose to sign up.
So LifeLock, they were going to make us do payroll deductions, which was going to create more work for our payroll system, which is going to be a little bit more cumbersome. And Aura is basically allows us to pay what the school is going to pay, and then if a employee wants to upgrade, let's say to the family plan, they're going to use their credit card to go in and pay that difference.
Now, they say they'll update the board monthly on how many staff members are enrolling in this new program. Well, as the fighter pilot training mission continues to expand at the 188th in Fort Smith, the city's Board of Education is considering ways to mitigate the impact of all of that noise on schools. They voted to work with the city on obtaining federal grant money for noise mitigation at both Orr and Carnall elementary schools. The buildings for those are near the air base, and they're expected to deal with very loud sound levels. The board also discussed concerns about spending the money on Carnall Elementary, despite the plans to potentially move students out of that building.
Mentioned this at the work session, and I don't know how many people go back and watch the work sessions, but for those in the community that have had Carnell in their mind, why are we doing this at Carnell? If they may be closing down, we could potentially keep the building, so it's not going to nothing, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to put that out during the public meeting today.
Yeah, and it's my understanding not only would we keep it, we intend to use it.
The district expects to use the grant money for new windows, doors, roofing, and air conditioning systems that will help block out the noise inside the buildings. Another Arkansas school district has been added to the lawsuit challenging a new law that requires the 10 Commandments to be displayed in public school classrooms. Attorneys have now included the Conway School District as a defendant. Families from Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, and Siloam Springs initially filed this lawsuit back in June, claiming the law violates the First Amendment. A judge this month issued an injunction blocking it from taking effect in those districts while the case plays out. It's unclear how the latest filing will impact Conway. Supporters argue the law is legal, saying the 10 Commandments are a historical foundation of American legal tradition. The This week, America marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina. The storm made landfall near New Orleans as a Category 3 hurricane. Heavy downpours and the storm surge led the city's levee system to fail. Nearly 1,400 people died during the storm and its aftermath. It's estimated it caused about $125 billion in damage. Well, Prairie Grove's Mayor David Falk actually lived in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans, when Katrina made landfall 2 decades ago. 5 News reporter Laura Castleman sat down with the mayor to hear his story.
Yeah, you can see where people had their way. Yeah, it looks like pump station's actually pumping.
I lived in Chalmette, which was probably a 5-minute drive into Orleans.
Before he was mayor of Prairie Grove, David Falk and his family were living in Louisiana. They left just 2 days before Katrina made landfall on August 29th of 2005.
They were people that stood behind and lost families. They were people that had to escape by rooftops and wait for National Guard helicopters to come in. There were people who lived in the Superdome while I was up here enjoying Northwest Arkansas. They were just trying to find a bottle of water.
Falk says for his family, the choice to return home or start a new life here came down to resources.
If you want to go back, you had to have money to go back, and we didn't have that type of money.
Falk says he soon came to the realization that his home was gone.
Your friends are not there, your church family's not there, our jobs wasn't there, school districts wasn't there. I mean, the whole area is wiped out.
When he was finally able to return to Louisiana, Mayor Falk remembers seeing his home flooded under 12 feet of water.
So when the levees broke, we were kind of part of that tidal wave that came in. I guess you kind of feel broken in essence. The longer we stayed here, the more we started realizing we'd be silly to go back home.
Within a week, Mayor Falk and his family had chosen Prairie Grove, Arkansas as their new home. So they returned to Arkansas.
Emotionally, it was difficult. You knew that we were just in a better place up here.
Mayor Falk says his journey from Katrina was different than that of many other Katrina survivors.
I definitely don't feel like a victim. I feel like it was a crossroad for us, and God was taking us on a different journey, and glad I was willing to walk it.
In Prairie Grove, covering news where you live, Laura Castleman, 5 News.
Well, the Bentonville City Council voted to accept a grant to build bridges on the Razorback Greenway that will reconnect the city with Bella Vista. The $3.5 million grant comes from the Walton Family Foundation. The bridge over Little Sugar Creek was disconnected after severe flooding in 2022. This new grant will fund 2 new bridges and a rerouted section of the trail. Construction is expected to start in October and take a year to finish. For the first time, the Bentonville Tiger football team will trot out a female kicker this season. 5 News reporter Parker Abels tells us how she prepared for week 1 and what this could mean for future females in high school football.
Kylie Silly has been a member of the Bentonville football program for all 4 years of high school, but this year is going to be a little different as now she's going to be the starter.
I've been doing this a while. I played soccer almost my entire life, so it kind of just came naturally.
And while she's been the junior varsity kicker for the last 2 seasons, there's a little more expectation for the varsity kicker. However, Silly is ready for the challenge.
I would say JV, it's definitely a little bit less stressful of an environment, but I'm really excited for varsity because I feel like I can make a bigger impact and ultimately to be more of a deciding factor between games, so I'm excited to see what I can accomplish with them.
And despite being the only girl on the team, for Sally, it feels like she's just one of the guys.
I don't feel like they treat me any differently than they do any other guy out here. I feel like this is really a family that we've cultivated, and I feel like there's a great sense of community, and we've got a lot of great talent, but I feel like pride never gets in the way of us all working together.
Head coach Jody Grant says they cheer her on just like everyone else.
Well, I mean, they want her to succeed. They care about her. She's a teammate of theirs, and so they want her. They know she can help us, and so they support her as they would anybody else.
While football is her top priority, she also hopes to inspire young girls to show there's room for women in this male-dominated sport.
I would just tell them that the best you can do is work hard, get here every practice, work harder than the guy next to you, and that's how you're going to get to the top.
I think she's a great example for young girls that want to do something like this. You know, there's a lot of talented soccer girls. And she's an example of that.
And as the season approaches, she believes this team is ready to go and finally end the Tiger State title drought.
I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a great year. We've got some great talents, got some new transfers, and I honestly think this might be our state team right here.
In Bentonville, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Well, thank you for watching the 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. While you're here on 5 News Plus, you can check out our latest newscast or weather impact forecast on demand, along with other original content from the 5 News team. Have a great weekend.